Hey guys! Yeah, welcome! We're back from the failure that was yesterday. There was a, what is it, I'm gonna call it? There was a picture that was made for the thumbnail. They just didn't process putting it in, so now it doesn't want to do it properly. And it's too late to do it because it's useless to put that for an unusable video now. But anyways, let's get into this lore that we have. I was able to shrink everything down into, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 pages, and they're not all the way full. But this took 2 weeks. But let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. It took 17 pages, and we luckily were able to make it only 8. So I'd say that's a win. So about less than half. But anyways, let's get into it. So Five Nights at Freddy's 1, we play as Mike Schmidt from November 9th to the 15th of 19 blah blah blah, but because of Matt Pat's math, we know that this is early 90s, so can we either make this 92, but because of this is like a general concept, it would be 93. But Mike gets fired for messing with the animatronics and odor. The phone guy is the previous week's night guard who has been with Freddy's for some years. And he's supposed to retire, but as of night 4, he has unalive. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is the environment ran by Fazbear Entertainment, which is shady, infamous business between high employee rotation rates, probably between quitting and death. There was the Bite of 87, where a animatronic bit someone and took their frontal lobe with them. The Missing Children's Incident, which we'll be knowing as M.C.I. from now on to make it quicker. This is where the 5 kids were lured into the back room by someone in a mascot costume. The missing report of 2 children was made on June 26th. We do not know the year. All we know it is in the 1900s. Though the culprit was caught because of the lack of evidence and no bodies found, and because they were wearing a mascot costume, that it can't stick. So with the bad history, this made people not want to go, which means no funds. No funds means they can't uphold the restaurant, and on top of that, the health department has been after them for a lot of code violations. And because of the low funds, by the end of the year, Freddy closes. So if this is 93, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 closes its doors at the end of 93. Haunting, we see that it seemed like they got stuffed. The 5 kids were stuffed into suits because blood and mucus goes around the nose and eyes. Eyes and mouth. With hallucinations, the bots moving, posters of the crying children, and there are 5 kids, 5 bots: Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, and Golden Freddy. And if Scott didn't, if this was not such a big hit, it probably would have ended with this game because Scott was wanting to no longer be continue game development. This was his last attempt, and because it went so well, he was going to go more games, but he eventually made a sequel. Which we'll get into, but for right now, if this never became anything more than the first game, the only things that we really left out would be when did the M.C.I happen and who did the Bite of 87. Because we literally had a pretty good story at here. We still don't understand what Mike and why Mike tampered with the animatronics. I believe this was kind of just it is Ultimate Custom Night because he messed with the AI. He gets fired for tampering with them that way, but I believe it is made for something later on now. But by this point, Phone Guy trains us. He dies the week before. Fazbear Entertainment has a bad history. Bite of 87 happens. The M.C.I happens. We have a killer who used a mascot costume to lure kids, killed the 5 kids. Those 5 kids possessed the animatronics. That's it. So basically, it was just, hey, this random guy came in, killed 5 kids. They possess animatronics. This is most likely why the Bite of 87 happened. Or by this point, we didn't know if it was after or before 87. So we didn't know if M.C.I happened, but it's believed that it was probably at this point beforehand that would cause the bite. So it's pretty simple by Five Nights at Freddy's 1 standards. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I'll let you guys straight up know. At this point, people knew 3 was coming out. It was almost, I think it was teased before everyone was completely done with Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So while 2 was still existing, teasers and conversations of 3 was already in the works. So it's kind of like 2 was not it. So this is a build on of 1 so far. So Jeremy Fitzgerald is the night guard of the previous and grander Freddy's from November 8th to the 13th of 1987. Then on the 14th, he works the day shift for the birthday party. Before they close, that ends with the Bite of 87. So basically, Jeremy Fitzgerald, 1987, works November 8th to 13th. The next day on the 14th, he takes over a birthday party, but this is the party that ends with the Bite of 87. Fritz Smith, employee number 3, so day shift guard, Jeremy, Fritz. He did the same thing Mike did by messing with the animatronics and odors, so that's a weird thing. I think at this point that they made Fritz probably just to kind of be like, hey, Ultimate Custom Night is a throwaway night, but I don't think we can use that now. But I think at this point, Ultimate Custom Night were not canon. He gets fired on his first day. So lore, he does the same as Mike, and he gets fired on his first day, so he's got his purpose. We go to the day guard, which is the previous night guard before Jeremy. So employee number 1. It seems that the DCI, the Dead Children's Incident, this is where basically the mascot killer returns in 87 and kills the 5 kids again. Well, we know that them as Purple Guy at this point, but so the DCI just happens under the day shift guard's nose, and because of this is being confirmed, they fire him, and that's kind of all we know. So it's at this point theorized that day shift guard is purple guy. The phone guy is confirmed to be at least have been around since the Freddy's with the Wizards, so we call that old Freddy's in this kind of conversation. So phone guy is before 87, which means he's got some history in the series by now. We have the new Freddy's from Five Nights at Freddy's 2 with a bigger budget. It has 24/7 electricity with a bigger, newer, friendlier, and high-tech animatronics. This location has only been open for a few weeks by the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 before getting shut down with the DCI, the bite of 87, and the bite just makes it to where there's no recovery. Sadly, the toys do get scrapped, and that means they have a very short lifetime. But for some reasons, you would take these old animatronics that you don't want in the first place versus these new high-tech things that you put a lot of money into. You're scrapping them for no reason, and the only thing you give in this newspaper is malfunctions. So we'll get along to it, but I think one of the toys have made the bite happen, and because of that, they have to get rid of them to avoid and rebrand with the new the old animatronics that, to this point, haven't done anything if the toys did the bite. They may look creepy, but at least they don't have a history on them. The old Freddy's, this is where the Wizards come from. This is where M.C.I. happened thanks to Go 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 and I think it is Go Go Go. It's so Foxy's operationable, but this is Five Nights at Freddy's 2, so you're showing that M.C.I. has happened not at the second location. So that throws DCI and M.C.I. being the same away. So, let's see here. And also, I did a little bit of research, and I believe also Give Cake happened here, which is the Freddy giving cake to kids, and we see the puppet spirit getting killed by Purple Guy. I believe because of McFarlane confirms that this is Freddy, and because this looks like a more of a browner tint than a yellowish gold, I believe that we're at the old Freddy's and that the puppet gets possessed at this old Freddy's. This would also kind of align it with them being there for the M.C.I. And because it's outside of the location, it wouldn't cause it to shut down like the M.C.I. would. The puppet seems to be around since the old Freddy's, and existed since Five Nights at Freddy's. It exists all the way till Five Nights at Freddy's 1, thanks to the in-between nights. We see the puppet in the Five Nights at Freddy's 1, so later on we see the puppet still around, even after Five Nights at Freddy's 2 closes. And then, let's see here. We see that their spirit was from Give Cake. This also makes them the first since they give life. So basically, with Give Cake showing the death of the puppet and Give Gifts, Give Life, shows the puppet giving life to the animatronics. It's basically, hey, I'm already possessed. Let me make sure these kids can also live on through this secondary life like I can. So it kind of makes you think that that is why. And then Fredbear's Family Diner, the original location before Old Freddy's, and that's about all we get from this one. So on top of just the normal murder, it seems like we're getting a lot of add-ons like, hey, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was the last location. There was a location before that, which is Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and there was a location before that, which is the Wizards, and there was a location before that, which was Fredbear's. And basically, old Freddy's has the M.C.I., the new Freddy's has the D.C.I. We also believe the bite happens here. Well, hold on. Let me think. So it's Fredbear's, old Freddy's. There is the Puppet's death in the M.C.I., new Freddy's, which has the D.C.I. and the bite of 87. And then you have the classic Freddy's, I'll call it. And this kind of just is, there's too much happened. You can't keep going. It was useless to reopen. And that's kind of all we get. I mean, the purple guy just gives us what the mascot killer looks like in sprite form. It also shows that he is the same person, both MCI, DCI, and Puppet. So it looks like this one person is the reason for everything. Moving on to Five Nights at Freddy's 3, Fazbear Frights is an attraction inside a park that has been made 30 years after Five Nights at Freddy's 1. That is the description of the game. 30 years after Five Nights at Freddy's 1 closes. So if Five Nights at Freddy's 1 is 93, 30 years later is 2023. Because by year's end, Freddy's closes because of no funding, which why would you it bankrupt. It bankrupt after 93. So you can't employ people. You can't give out a paycheck with a bankrupt company. So 2023 is where we're at by Five Nights at Freddy's 3 by, description and by theory. And also you can't have it too much earlier because you need a space in between Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and 1. So after the Five Nights at Freddy's 1 closes in 93, we're in 2023, based on the infamous murder stories. The player, he has been working there for more than the week that we have seen. So Five Nights at Freddy's 3's player, Night Guard, we see the week that enters in the destruction and the fire of Fazbear Frights, but by Phone Dude, we learn that he has been there before and he's returned for another week. So we don't know how long this person has been with Fazbear Frights. The attraction itself is a walk-through haunted house style with parts from the bots, decor, and merch from Freddy's. Phone Guy is not confirmed to be an employee. Is now confirmed to be an employee since Fredbear's. So, but here's the thing that I will say that I forgot to write down is that he still has Fazbear Entertainment and Freddy Fazbear's is existing at this point. So Fredbear's and the old Freddy's coexisted. So Fredbear's was the old, forgotten, while the old Freddy's was the new and probably what a lot of kids liked. But the fact that their Phone Guy has been training since then, that means this guy is like one of the first, either one of the first few employees or one of the first that jumped on the bandwagon as it started getting good. He is straight up a trainer. So we learn his position, why they keep him around is because he is the voice to teach the employees. After Five Nights at Freddy's 1 closes, so after 93, Purple Guy returns to disable the bots. We're not continuing after this. But anyways, it's confronted by the five spirits, scaring him into the Spring Lock Bonnie suit. I'll mention that again. to get spring locked. So basically, the in-between night mini games is basically right after 93. Purple guy comes in, disassembles the animatronics, and after disassembling them all, he gets forced. Well, he doesn't get forced, but he retreats to the spring Bonnie suit. The spring lock suits are a hybrid suit between the robots and the mascot costumes. They have a lot of ways to have spring lock failures, by the way. Breathing, moisture, it's dumb. But the wearer can bleed out if a spring lock failure happens. There are two made, which is Fredbear and the spring lock Bonnie. And after an incident with the multiple failures for the locks, they retired the suits during the time Purple Guy strikes Stage 1. Stage 01. So basically, why am I suggesting spring lock Bonnie suit? Why am I only putting him as Bonnie? Because I believe that Fredbear and Bonnie were the original two. Fredbear would eventually become Freddy Fazbear. Fredbear still exists in the name of Freddy Fazbear. And Bonnie being so memorable because somehow the kids were bored, I believe they just recolored him to make him look decent and to avoid confusion of which Bonnie they are talking about, they add spring to it. That way they're like, hey, blue/purple Bonnie is just Bonnie, while yellow original with spring locks will be calling spring Bonnie. That way they differentiate. I can't speak right now. It's like 4 in the morning. And then I believe during Fredbear's, we see during Stage 02's minigame, we see that one of the kids have gone missing in one of the crowds. So Purple Guy has been active since Fredbear's. So while Fun Guy is making audio training tapes, Purple Guy is slaying little kids. Moving on to these safe rooms. No cams, no animatronics can see into this thing or get into this thing. So they are made to keep the spring lock failures from the public. So basically, to avoid being caught in liability, they're like, anything that might get us in trouble, hide in the safe room off camera so they can't record footage. And so animatronics don't go back there luring kids alongside them, probably be parents too, to kind of be like, hey, we need to keep this as the employee room, and that's it. And also it's like, hey, but I can't break my immersion by you dying on my floor, so I need you to go die somewhere else that's not on camera so I can't be at fault. And then let's see, this is used later by Purple Guy to lure kids off camera. So we do see in the in-between nights that this is where Purple Guy goes into. That way when the animatronics try to come get him, he's in the safe room so they can't get into it because of their programming, which allows him to disassemble them. But this also is where he probably made M.C.I, possibly D.C.I happened. Because in the phone calls for Phone Guy, he mentions that you should never bring a guest back here and that the spring Bonnie suit has been moved. So Purple Guy is using the suit and a guest has been put back there. So what's going on with that? And then somehow they wall it off because budget problems. I believe that most likely because Fredbear's and old Freddy's exist in the same, they coexist because of M.C.I happens at old Freddy's, and this explains why that happened. So I believe it's just like, hey, we can't keep using the safe rooms, so to avoid this issue happening over and over again with them being off camera, we need to wall off that room, that way it doesn't get used against us again. So I believe because of M.C.I. happens, that they have to board up the safe rooms. The ending is two possibilities. The good is that you gather and grant Golden Freddy's spirit a birthday party, and all the spirits move on. But then there's the bad ending, which is basically, hey, the spirits are still around. I believe because of the news article at the end about the Fazbear Frights burning down, seeing him in the background survived. I believe that on top of later stuff kind of says, hey, because spring trappings still exist, even if they somehow give a kid a birthday, I believe that the bad ending is our true ending. That the kids do not move on. In this series, there is no good ending for anyone. By the end of this story, because Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was supposed to be the end of a trilogy, and basically Scott was preparing for the end with this, it's kind of like, hey, we didn't get to see Fredbears. We didn't get to see old Freddy's. We still don't know the year of the M.C.I. We don't know if the D.C.I. has possessed anyone. And the Bite of 87, and, even though it has got evidence now, we still don't know if the good ending could possibly be real. While it doesn't matter about Fredbears and old Freddy's being seen, I mean, we saw them in mini games, but it's like, we don't need to go there. We got the reason, we have their events, things that made them happen. M.C.I. year, don't really need it. All we know is it's before 87. D.C.I., I would love to know if they possessed any of the toys, which, because there's phantoms of Mangle and BB, I would hope so. That way you don't waste an event. Bite of 87, we still don't know. With the toys, it adds more. And then, ending. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is a very quick segment. We are introduced to the crying child, who will go by CC now, who is tormented by his older brother, Foxy Bro, because he wears a Foxy mask, which is torn from his Foxy plushie. Let's see. So he's getting tormented. CC is getting tormented because he was a bystander of an incident. That he is now scared of the animatronics. He's not scared of the characters because he sees the plushies as friends. But when it comes to animatronic or anything resembling the proper life-size characters, it scares him. So I believe that he's either seen one of the deaths, because Purple Guy has been moving around at this time or around this. So it's possible that CC has seen the death of a kid, or we've seen some other incident. The spring lock failures comes up. I know this is supposed to be hey, they retired the suits, but it's very possible that they only retired them because that someone couldn't get to the safe room properly. So I believe he may have been seeing the spring lock. He could have seen a missing kid, or just another random incident. There's too many to count at this point. His birthday party is getting counted down through the mini games. A lot of people poke the bear on his fear. And then by the time the only comfort he has is the plushies, by the way. By the time his party comes up, the brother and friends basically gang up on him, say, hey, time to bully you, and to kind of rev it up even more, they basically pick him up, put him in Fredbear's. Fredbear's jaw closes, making the bite of 83 happen, which makes CC pass away at a hospital with a flat line. Notes, this is during the Springlock era, of course, because we see people in suits. Purple Guy is an employee at Fredbear's because we see him in a quick scene putting on a head of one of the employees. This takes place in 1983. We've seen this based on the TV. And then we see a room for Cece's sister/mother with a disassembled Mangle. So the fact that Mangle exists this early in the timeline, it's like, hey, are we designing the toys this early? Are they trying to like rebrand because the Wizards are too scary? But yeah, if Five Nights at Freddy's 4 was supposed to be the final chapter, that was its original name. So it's kind of like, hey, we're adding more events to Fredbear's. The only thing we really knew from Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is that Purple Guy was still around, and he took at least one of the kids from Fredbear's. But with this, it's like, hey, another kid died because of Fredbear, which kind of is like, hey, this is probably why it closed. So it's like, hey, another kid, but this explains why Fredbear closes. And because I believe it's only the two, this is probably not where the puppet originates. It's probably from Old Freddy's. We probably would have seen the puppet if it was in Fredbear's. And it's kind of like you throw away the actual knights because it's like else than a few medical scenery. It's like, what are we seeing? And I believe that dream theory was correct at this point, because it's like Scott was like, hey, in the mind of another child, things can be a lot scarier. So seeing shadows can make shadow animatronics. Seeing toys can make toy animatronics. Seeing the Mangle, it's like, hey, these little things are probably when he is dying, he makes a giant nightmare situation that makes Five Nights at Freddy's 1 to 3, but we don't get that. So instead of making it a dream in the end and kind of just explaining that Fredbear's is just closed because of the bite of 83, moving on to the sister location. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 and the sister location just add to the story, but also add a lot of questions. The main story is that there is another restaurant known as Circus Baby's Pizza. This is there's only one day before it got closed due to gas leaks, but this is because of the death of a young girl who is the daughter of the owner/designer known as Mr. Afton of this building. The son of the purple guy, Michael, goes down to put her together. After some dialogue, the daughter reveals that they have a relationship. So this is, why would he go down to try to help or at least meet up with this young girl else than meet family? So this has to be his sister. And why I immediately put him as Purple Guy's son is just because Custom Nights of Sister Locations ending where Springtrap comes up after Father, I've done it. It's like Springtrap's there for a reason, which means Michael is son of Purple Guy. Purple Guy seems to be Mr. Afton because why Would he be having murderous animatronics that are very violent that want to kill someone like a young girl in the first place? And also, it's just, hey, if Michael has a relation to girl, then girl has to have a relation to purple guy. So it makes sense that we're doing this. Let's see here. We do learn during the last little, before we see Springtrap in the ultimate, I keep wanting to say ultimate custom night. After the custom night ending scene, we see Springtrap. In his dialogue, Mike does say that they thought I was you, so it's just, he has to be either a dead ringer or have a lot of facial features that are like Mr. Afton. So after a few nights, the bots fuse into one entity known as Innard that goes into tricking Mike into a situation where it leads to his death by the scooper. Afterwards, they use his body to escape. They try to blend in, but with his decaying body, they have to run off into the sewers. But Mike ends up possessing his own body. Mr. Afton seems to have his facility based on the reboot minigame in Funtime Freddy's Auditorium, or the Electric Room. We see shaded out if you look at a map like a Resident Evil, when you're looking at something from another that's a part of the building but it's from another level, you kind of change the color of that room. That way it's, hey, this is an add-on, but it's on another it's either below or above it. So either these items were below the sister location or above it. And we get to see that Fredbear's Family Diner and the Crying Child's home is attached to this. And it's attached through Fredbear's, because we get to see that the connection is to Fredbear's, while the other ones are that they have the Fun with Plush Trap. They also have the Finance Freddy's 4 room, which both Plush Trap and Finance Freddy's 4 bedroom are seen in cameras in a private room. So it looks like Purple Guy, who is the creator of this facility, has been doing some experiments to cause nightmares to people. To who, we don't know, but CC is most likely a part of this family, with us seeing the Fredbear plushie with the walkie-talkie, which explains why he was talking in Finance Freddy's 4. So it was most likely Mr. Afton talking through the walkie. Hey, tomorrow's going to be another day. But it's also kind of like, why? But why? And that would also kind of explain sorry, I'm having an existential crisis. I need to read through my stuff again. Because we don't have evidence that Foxy Bro is Michael by this point. Because it's like, we do know Mr. Afton, Baby Spirit, and Michael are a family, just because of cutscenes and all that through Sister Location. But by 4, we don't really have any connection except for the Fredbear plushie. And we aren't confirmed that CC is in the nightmare bedrooms, and also it's like I said, while we see the map to the house, it's only connected to Fredbear's, which means you still gotta walk to get to the house. That's confusing. Anyways, but, well, I guess this next point would have happened. I just had like a moment for no, like, well, not for no reason. We still don't know, but we, like, putting in the code of 1983, which is the year the bite happened, and seeing the stuff and being next to the Fredbear plushie can't be a coincidence. So I believe by the private room, it kind of says, why is Final Fantasy 4 existing? Because of 1983 and holding dear the Fredbear plushie. So most likely we're dealing with Final Fantasy 4 happens because of Cece's death. But that's only a theory at this point. Besides the monitors, okay, let's see. Beside it was the Fredbear plush. Strong evidence of Cece being a son, which would make Mike Foxy Bro. Anyways, Final Fantasy 6 Pizza Sim. As Mike, which evidence is pretty clear with voice lines, and why would you want to stay around for a fire? We manage a new Freddy's with the purpose to lure the remaining possessed animatronics to be burned on Saturday. This is under paragraph 4, proposed by Cassette Man, which by a audio clip we see HRY, which HRY is what I'm going to call him now, who is an aged relationship with Mr. William Afton. We find out that it's William Afton based on the credits, so we can now call him just William. He's also the father of the puppet because of his epic speech. He's also the owner of he talks a lot about I was the reason for all this to be set up for William to use it to his own purposes with my animatronics that I've made, because he says torture tools of my own creation, basically. And then he basically gave the setting for William. Sorry, like I said, it's 4 when I'm doing this. And then he's at least the creator of a lot of the animatronics. He contains the puppet with Lefty to capture and soothe her. So in the details of Lefty in the Insanity ending, we see the bracelet code, which is security puppet minigame. We also see the music box kind of evidence of play this constantly. Then let's see. Then we have the actual name of baby's spirit, which is Elizabeth. So now we have Elizabeth, Michael, and William. We don't know about Cece yet, if they're even a part of the family. The tool from Sister Location, the scoop, which is basically meant for something known as Remnant. Which, by the way, if you don't read the books, this is the only dang part that mentions Remnant. So for you to understand this, the whole thing in Sister Location and this few pieces of evidence in 6, you won't understand what it is if you don't read the books. So it's kind of dumb that this is introduced but never expanded on except for some books. It is made by Afton Robotics, so William is trying to get a hold of this remnant for some reason. The end is William the puppet, Elizabeth, Mike, HRY, the soul / souls of Molson Freddy, because Candy Cadet 5-1. We'll mention that. They are put in to rest with the burning of the new Freddys, which also puts an end to Fazbear Entertainment. Or did it? Because Ultimate Custom Night is literally Golden Freddy's soul, which, if the good ending was existent, you should have moved on a while ago, pal. And anyways, they are the vengeful spirit, or the one you should not have killed, is holding William in a personal made hell who he just keeps killing. Which is like voice lines about this vengeful spirit. And why would you want to keep Michael? Michael has, to this point, not been proved to do nothing. Where William has killed more than, like, at least a dozen kids at this point. So it's like, why would you put Michael in a personal hell? It has to be Mike. It has to be William. And in the Old Man Consequences, it's leave the devil. Why would you call Michael a devil? Again, we don't know about the character. We don't know anything except that he likes to watch TV. Literally. It's, hey, I watch TV. Hey, I go to sister location to find sister. Sister is murderous robot. Leads me to my death. She wears me like a glove. Walks me around until they leave. I possess my corpse. I come back to try to finish up the job, to clean up what my father has left. And he has went looking for him. So if this was the end of the series, where would Michael be if he was trying to look for him? Molten Freddy's separate. Baby is separate. Puppet is separate, and it's William. So, I mean, well, no. Dumb brain working. HRY is a friend of William, an old friend of William's. So it's kind of like, so where's Michael if this is the end of the series? If everyone else is putting an end to it, but Michael isn't, it doesn't make sense. And then, based on some voice lines, I think Withered Bonnie is the biggest one that I kind of noticed. I mean, the vengeful spirit mentions, like we, us in a few texts, but Withered Bonnie is like, I am trapped, you're trapped, maybe we're both trapped. So it's like, that phrasing makes it sound like the soul of the Bonnie, not revengeful spirit, but the soul of Bonnie is still around, which means who else is here? And then also Chica, because of her voice line, is the first of the M.C.I. She's not the first in all the deaths because Stage 0-1 exist and the puppet exists. How can they give gifts, give life, if they weren't the first? I will say, thanks to, let's see, I would just say really a lot of these books. So this is the first, these are all graphic novels, the comics of the books. This is Fazbear Frights Volume 1. This has Into the Pit, To Be Beautiful, and we didn't get the what is these? It's Out of Stock, which is the plush shop story. So we skip over Count the Waves. So the very first volume of the book doesn't get completed, but we get to see plush shop in a very crappy drawing style that I believe I can probably learn and do myself, and probably a lot better. But the only thing that this book really kind of mentions is Remnant. I think this entire book series kind of fleshes out Remnant. And the thing is, the entire trilogy of the Silver Eyes beats them to it. So Silver Eyes, the Twisted Ones, and the Fourth Corner, this beats them to the Remnant game. Basically, in these books, they basically have William doing experiments with Remnant, taking the basically it's metal fused with like soul energy, and if it gets melted down and turned into a liquid, you can insert that to any machine you want. And this is because this is like continuous evidence. It's not just the the Silver Eyes. It's also the Fazbear Frights novels. We're also getting some Remnant and Tales of the Pizzaplex. So it's like that Remnant, because of the Silver Eyes and it being in like several other products, it has to be explained how it's explained in this book, which is, hey, spirit energy and metal melted down. This is Remnant. You can implement this into any machine, and it would become alive, which would explain the whole sister location thing. Is if these fun times are going around kidnapping kids, and you're using the scoop to get the remnant from the death, and recycling it to do some experiments, that's understandable. But because of 1 to 6 doesn't cover any experiments, we don't know what the whole, why does he need remnant energy in the games? It doesn't make sense unless he's in Twisted Ones. He wants to be Springtrap so he can live forever inside a machine. The other thing that I will say, this probably makes sense to put into the main story, is that Henry and William, they are old friends in this series, and specifically they are business partners that were the owners of Fredbear's that would become Freddy's. So that's really all these do. So this was kind of, Fazbear Entertainment's was Remnant is fleshed out more. Let's explain what they can do, what that is. They also go into agony, which is a negative emotion felt during the Remnant process. Well, it doesn't happen during the process, but it's like, hey, if this is soul energy, the emotion of dying becomes its own energy. That's all of that does. It's kind of flesh out, and also kind of says, hey, there's more things out there that can take souls, swamp souls, and take remnant. Well, this series is like, hey, this is how the animatronics are possessed. Here is why remnant exists. Here is the relationship with William and what happened with that. Another thing I will mention is that he, alongside these books and the movie, uses Spring Bonnie as a fate, a mask, to be friends with the main four. So like, I believe they can be, like, they can be presented that that is their killer, but I believe that even in the original, that explains why he doesn't get attacked. Also, kind of explains why other people might die in the series. But really, that's about it in these books. I mean, we do get the name of HRY, which is Henry. That makes sense, you know. HRY, it's only 2 letters away from Henry. Oh, and that audio tape from Henry was 223, which either that is the recording number or that is the year that it takes place, which means it's either right after Five Nights at Freddy's 3 or during Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Moving on, we have the remaining questions of the series. So, who did the bite of 87? The theory of do not touch rule, giving Freddy being culprit, out of order. Why is Foxy out of order? Mangle's jump scare, Toy Chica's beak voice line. The next question is, I believe it's Mangle or Toy Chica because of the toys being scrapped by the end of Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Well, 2. Moving on to the next question. Did William or the puppet stuff the animatronics? I will say that will be like, hey, did William just kill them and leave them? Or did he stuff them in? Because if not, give life, give gifts, give life, kind of makes it give a little bit more of a purpose of like, hey, I possess this. Let me make sure you definitely take over this animatronic. Are the robotics trying to escape? I will say that the week before, which is the newest novel, mentions that they are trying to leave because they don't want to be there anymore. So they're going to overcharge themselves so they can leave and go on a murderous rampage, which makes sense because the movies show them being murderous. Even though they're kids, they still want to kill Abby and Mike for getting in their way, and they want to kill Abby so that they can be with them. Why is Foxy out of order? How many victims are there? Because M.C.I, D.C.I, that's 10. Stage 01, that's 11. Springwalk failure, is that person dead? That would be 2. C.C, that's 13. There's a lot of people. How many? What number to the pile of corpses? What does "it's me" mean? So in the week before, it's not exclusive to the hallucinations and Golden Freddy. It is seen that every one of the animatronics or possessed say this at one point or another. And on one of the deaths, when phone guy Ralph, cool, we know his name most likely, gets stuffed in a Freddy suit, one of the last few thoughts in his mind is he's smelling a very putrid smell, and he's trying to figure out where it comes from, and the last thing he does before his death, he thinks, is "it's me," which I believe that is a reoccurring thought by every possession of just the last thing I think of is this smell I smell is me. Unless it's just, hey, reminder, it's me, I'm a spirit, I'm a kid, please try to recognize me. And that's the only other thing we can think of. Is Mike Schmidt, Fritz, Five Nights at Freddy's 3 main character, Michael Afton, the same person? Because Mike and Fritz have similar firing reasons. Odor would kind of be like, hey, Mike is a corpse. That would explain why the odor exists. And then if 1, 2, and sister location, why not 3? Well, also 6. So it's like, so if Michael is Mike in Fritz, then it's like, why not just round it all out? Like, we still don't know about 4, and it most likely was Michael as well, to kind of like bully him in return for killing his brother, if he is Foxy Bro. But anyway, the odor of a dead body would make sense for firing Mike and Fritz. Moving on, are the bots' spirits still in the right mind to think? Probably. So basically, can the animatronics think to kind of like make up plans, think properly, make strategies? The week 4, yet again, they use the cameras to try to find Ralph, the phone guy. So they're intelligent enough to use stuff and use tools, probably. Ooh. So they're probably going easy on us in the games. Did the DCI possess the animatronics? Unless William coming to stop the Freddy in his tracks during the Save Them minigame and ending it with "You Can't." Unless that is him stopping the puppet and Freddy from putting DCI into the toys or getting them to possess. It's like, why would you have DCI happen if not for a purpose? I mean, hey, make it more horrendous that there's more deaths, but it doesn't make sense. Also, it doesn't make sense that BB and J and Mangle have phantoms and have like a lot of purpose in the overall series, if not for. Who are these shadows? Are they the spring lock victims? Because Five Nights at Freddy's 4 sees the shadows. We know that Fredbear's has had a spring lock failure that retires them. So is it possible that some employees got killed and became the shadows? Because by 2, there's someone other than the DCI around. Well, M.C.I. DCI around. Are the phantoms spirits or hallucinations? In Fazbear Frights, there's a Five Nights at Freddy's 3 story where, because of the pure agony / remnant exposure, it makes the main character of that story hallucinate getting hunted down and eventually he getting put in the oven, dying, and all that. Is Mike and Crying Child... is Michael or the Crying Child are guy from Five Nights at Freddy's 4 subject? We don't know. What did CCC to be scared? What did the Crying Child see that got him scared from the animatronics? What's in the box? What's in the box? It's not Forgotten Dreams, 'cause you're breaking mine. Who is the suit for Sister Location on night 4? There's another Funtime animatronic. Maybe that's maybe that's Funtime Chica, but we still don't know. It is not confirmed at this point. Midnight Motorist. What is Junior's? What is the dirt pile? Who is the person sitting watching TV? Who's our escape artist? And why are there freaking animatronic footprints outside his window? Or their window. I don't know if we got a gender confirmation. Candy Cadet. Explaining 5 going into 1. Before I mention this, we'll keep going. I did not take anything from any source codes, from any unused materials, from anything but the main game's context. I used the books just because if they are reused over and over and over again, there's got to be a reason why it's told. So it has to be why in the game universe. But we don't really see 5-in-1 except for the entity that William makes of the 5 bots of the classics, and he melts all the bots into one, and he wants to join them, to be a part of them, to take control of them forever. That is the only other time we see this, but we do get to see the blueprint in the unused files that Molson Freddy has a lot of traces of Remnant, which is like Molson Freddy may be the person with 5 souls. We don't know. Remnant, mentioned it in the books. You gotta read the books to understand Remnant. What did William do to the spirits the second time? So during the insanity ending, Henry mentions that William has taken the life of the innocents to Weiss. So he killed them in the incidents, but he robbed them of this second chance at life. Did he take away the remnant? Was this assembling? We don't know. In the Fazbear Frights universe, there are several points of several spirits, especially 2, taking over one vessel. We get to see in a Golden Freddy, I think it's the new kid, we see a external ghost, which we see in the movie doing its own business, but we see that there was a body, or at least another spirit, with a different color of hair in the suit. But we also see in the aftermath of the stories, Stitch Wraith, we see 2 people, one person powering the Stitch Wraith, but the other one controls it. I believe either Golden Freddy contains 2 spirits, which would explain Vengeful Spirit and that Crying Child is still around. But there's also the Mangle. The Mangle is a double-voiced, it has a boy voice and a girl voice that overlap. And I believe this is on purpose because this might be the person that has 2 souls in the series. Maybe instead of Golden Freddy, we're looking at the wrong person, and maybe Mangle is our second 2-spirit person, which would explain the double voice. Did William make the nightmares? In the Silver Eyes, we see he made the twisted ones to basically scare the crumbs out of people and, make it to where he doesn't have to design them. Well, he uses illusion chips to do that, but he makes the twisted ones, which is not in the game, so I believe the twisted ones are the parallel to the nightmares, and he uses them as his, hey, go do this task for me kind of crew. And are there more spirits than Ultimate Custom Night? We mentioned this, that Withered Bonnie and the Vengeful Spirit mentions us, and that maybe more souls are trapped in this domain. Moving on to smaller questions, these are questions we do not need answers. But it would be nice to kind of have extra detail. So Scott, if you ever see these questions or watch my video, which I'd be happy. One, who is Fredbear's owner? In Final Fantasy Freddy's 3, Final Fantasy Freddy's 2, we hear about them trying to contact the original owner of Fredbear's. The only time we know about Fredbear's owners is the Silver Eyes. In Final Fantasy Freddy's, who is the CEO of Freddy Fazbear's? Who is the M.C.I? Not who is. Did the M.C.I happen on one day or several? It would be nice because in Ultimate Custom Night we see that he lured them one by one with different methods or lies. And we do get the Paperclip app ad in the Final Fantasy Freddy's 1 that says that 2 kids were reported missing, and then they eventually made it 5 after some time. So it's did he kill, it's a very small detail of, did he do this over time or in one day? Who does the Endo 01 or Endo 02 belong to? Is JJ an actual animatronic in the franchise, or is that just an Easter egg? Who is Paperplate Buddy? We've had a horrible mimic theory about this one. I just think this might be something made by the kids, but it still kind of is hey, he exists for a reason. To what reason? Maybe it's just because, hey, kid-made drawing, and it's pushed in your room to make sure you see it. Because we only see Freddy and Bonnie's return in other games. We see Buddy return in World and I think Into the Pit, but it's Security Breach. We only see the 2. Who was Phone Dude? It'd be nice to figure out who that guy was, or at least what he was his whole purpose. In Final Fantasy Freddy's 3, after the failure of the spring locks, they say they'll have them look at by a technician. Who's the technician? In Final Fantasy Freddy's 3 again, they mentioned that they found the safe room thanks to getting in contact with a building designer. Who is that? Final Fantasy Freddy's 3, there are replacement suits mentioned. They say basically after Springlock suits are retired, hey, here's some more mascot costumes for you to wear until we either find make replacements for Springlocks, or we just do robots again. Which we do see entertainer suits in Ruin, which are the animal, the bird, the elephant, the lion. We also see in Tales to the Pizzaplex that there are more mascot costumes than just our basic known characters. What is the meaning of 395248? The only theory we have is that this is the code to the color purple. CC and Golden Freddy's names. We do have a pretty strong theory that it is Dave and Cassidy, and if you return back to the Silver Eyes books, William's name was Dave Miller to cover up his real name, and then one of the M.C.I was Cassidy in that. She was not the Golden Freddy spirit, a boy named Michael was, but Cassidy was a name, and we've seen this through the security logbook, and I believe we did find this out. I believe CC is Dave, and I think Golden Freddy's spirit is Cassidy. But then that means, does this mean Crying Child has been alive? It's confusing. Crying Child is not mentioned anywhere else in Final Fantasy Freddy's 4 in this possibility of the security logbook. Why was Mangle in Afton's house in Five Nights at Freddy's 4? Is Vlad from the sister location show a reflection of William or Michael because of the purple suit? Does that mean Vlad, aka William, doesn't see Michael as his son? Or is this a, someone trying to be reclusive after becoming a possessed body, dead body that burns something down? Who crafted the hiding spot in sister location? Is this the body that was found in the vent? Where are the mediocre melodies, Scrap Gang, Music Men, and L-Chip come from? Where was Funtime Chica in sister location? Was she the costume we see in Night 4? What is Rask? Which is, it sounds like this is the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 device to make Springtrap go from one place to another. Or this could have been the thing that we used to get the animatronics to Pizza Sim. But we don't know what RASC means. What do the Ultimate Custom Night animes for the cutscenes / intermissions mean? I believe that Freddy versus Foxy is basically Henry trying to stop William from doing his misdeeds, but he gets overdone by having William one step ahead of the time. And then I believe Toy Chica is supposed to be our William reflection of just, hey, I want to do my misdeeds, but I need to make lies. And the lies get worse as it goes, and it's like, oh, I'm just kidnapping you. Oh, don't worry, I have your dead dog over here. Then, let's see here. Was Ballora based on Mrs. Afton? I'm not saying Mrs. Afton possesses Ballora, but I believe it is based on Mrs. Afton because in her voice lines for Ultimate Custom Night, she says, you wanted to let me in. You wanted to see me. It's kind of like, so why does William have that kind of like, why would William want Ballora to come in? And also it's like, why design Ballora like that in the first place? And then the biggest thing was a scrapped song that was referred to in Ultimate Custom Night, which is, why are you hiding in your walls why are you hiding in your walls when there's music in my halls? All I see is an empty room, no more joy, an empty tomb. Which, if this is Mrs. Afton's, like, voice, this is like, hey, either she sees without her husband hiding away, or maybe one of the kids died at this point. Most likely Elizabeth, because that was in sister location. And then another Ultimate Custom Night question is, during Circus Baby's voice lines, she's like, I guess you forgot about me, and then says it again in a different tone. So I believe saying this to William after being possessing Baby, does she blame William for forgetting her down in the sister location? We do have some concepts that are unused in the Silver Eyes / books. There's Matt Pat's favorite theory that everyone's a human robot, which is kind of like, I mean, it's true. Silver Eyes came out, Charlie is a robot. Because of her death in early childhood, one of the creators one of the original owners wants their kid to come back to life, so they make a robot that basically emulates a human life cycle. but we have yet to actually get any evidence, proof, or anything that attaches human robot. And Security Breach is a confusing muddle right now, and I think we should leave that in the back of the series. In Silver Eyes, we also get that William's motives. He basically gets competitive with Henry. He wants to outshine him, and he gets obsessive. He also starts once he kills, he starts going on a oh, I need more. I need to keep doing it. And then once he becomes the remnant experimenter, he's like, I want to have complete control over these kids that I've taken, I snuffed out. We also mentioned in two separate things, illusion disc and the nightmare gas. Nightmare gas is pretty newer, but it's like, hey, Five Nights at Freddy's 4, either the animatronics are, illusion disc to kind of make them look like nightmares, but they're just blank animatronics, or there's gas getting pushed into this room to make you think there's nightmares. This is weird that the gas was not present when they were trying to end the series, but the illusion disc were. So maybe both, but it's just also why introduce these two tools for William to use, but kind of not explain what it means in the games. And then another thing is alongside William's experiments to kind of get the M.C.I under his control, there's also a lot of other animatronics and other products that take souls and remnant and use it to make their own life, or switch places with them. It's stupid. But anyways, that is it. I wanted to make this because it has been something in the theory community. So I wanted to be hey, maybe I should set the record straight on stuff that we do know has been confirmed. Which, I'm sorry, there's a lot of stuff confirmed in that. We know for sure William, Michael, and Elizabeth are at least in the family. We know of, why Fredbear's was closed down. We know why Old Freddy's was closed down. We know why New Freddy's was closed down. We know why Five Nights at Freddy's 1 was closed down. We know why Fazbear Frights was closed down. We end the series with Pizza Sim burning down. But we have more stuff, but it's just, they explain the events that chop up to it, and we don't really need all these small details. It would be very cool to get all the details, but it's there's not a lot of stuff from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Five Nights at Freddy's 2, the DCI is a very big thing I think you need to resolve. The several little outliers of stage 01, there are more spirits that either you're telling me they passed they moved on around the time of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, or at some point before 6 they've done something to go, because you're telling me if Molten Freddy's 5 spirits, there's Elizabeth, there's William, Michael, Henry, and and Charlie, where are these other spirits? So it's kind of DCI, other spirits. What's in the box? And then who's in Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and 4? Getting who that is would be very good help. So it's a very few questions that are just they're there are still a lot of loose ends with the possessions or the other souls. But it's like everything else, it's like we don't need that to end it. It's like, so else in these other spirits that may be wondering or have been moved on since, that is the only thing. It's just, what are these other spirits? Because I don't personally care for anything else, but I think it's just like, tie up the loose ends, and then the entire main series is over. Now I understand the problem with security breach. Is William still alive? Is it just AI? Or is it something trying to take, like, repeat William? Is it William using AI to reboot himself into another body? It's confusing. It's confusing. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.